Shalom Akim. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Wakak, Wadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Barakatah Yashala, Barakatah Yahudah. Gonna give double honors to the apostles and the elders, great millstone, who teach and were well, who overseeing the construction of the tabernacle of David, a more perfect tabernacle. Shalom to Yakim, Wakwaf, scattered abroad, to sincere believers of the truth, man, the hopeful elect, who have been wakened in these last days, to stand upon our feet and bear witness to the words of truth. This certain scripture. Yeah, let's get that. Psalm 50. And so, yeah, 55. Psalms 55 and 21. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords, man. And that's the whole MO of Esau, man, the wicked man. You can never really trust them. Let's go and let's get that. It's a perfect way. Perfecto. This is Rock 12 and 10. Never trust thine enemy. Never trust thine enemy. The scripture says, never trust thine enemy. For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass. And thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away, man. Let's read that again. Though he humble himself, man, and go crouching, meaning he might seem as if he's coming in a humble manner. He's seeming like he's coming as some type of I don't know, man. As if he turned over a new leaf. That's a great phrase. Though he acts like he's turned over a good leaf, yet take good heed and beware of him. Pay close attention. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass. And what does that mean? When your mirror gets all dirty, man, you're looking in the mirror, you can't really see things as clear. It's like it. When you look into a mirror, you can't really see things clear when it's dirty. But when you clean it, everything becomes crystal clear. And that's what it means. And thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. You can't get too close to these Edomites, man. Can't let them too close. You want to keep them close enough to keep an eye on them. You don't want to give them no access to nothing, man, because they subvert whole houses, man. They covet fields. They take it by violence. That's their MO. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. I want to start that off because we're going to go into a little history concerning this land that we stand on. Now, we know that this land originally belonged to the Northern Kingdom, this whole Western Hemisphere, from Canada all the way down to the lowest part of South America, man, belonged to the Native American Indians, Gad, Reuben, Naphtali, the whole Northern Kingdom. What happened, man? Esau, Edom came in here and colonized this whole place, man. Changed the whole landscape, the whole map, redrew the whole freaking world, man.
This is an uncomfortable truth about Mexico, and if it bothers you, it's not my problem. Go take a nap. So this is a map of the United States before the Mexican-American War in 1846. Bro, all of this is Mexico, and that's the United States. Mexico owned California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. But then here comes President Polk, who believed in manifest destiny. And manifest destiny is basically when colonizers believed that they had the right to control and conquer whatever they wanted in North America because they're special, I don't know. Colonizers wanted easier access to the Pacific Ocean because that would make trading with China easier. But Mexico inconveniently stood in the way. So of course, the US invaded and killed a bunch of people. Then after 2 years, the Mexican-American War ended with the Treaty of Guadalupe, which was a peace treaty. This peace treaty gave 55% of Mexico to the United States. So I guess my question is, are Mexicans illegally crossing the border, or did the border illegally cross Mexico? Because from where I'm sitting, it really looks like it wasn't Mexicans that brought violent criminals into the US. The US has brought violent criminals into. This is an uncomfortable truth about Mexico, and if it
I wish. How can you pause it? Pause.
for the Mexican-American War in 18.
Okay, now she mentioned a great deal of history because look at the whole map right now. And this is what you're looking at right here. This America is I believe this is post the Louisiana Purchase. So even you gotta remember, America, this quote unquote America, started off as 13 colonies that grew into states. Man, they acquired. That's Daniel, the book of Daniel, where it says or is it
46.
Let's get that. It's a great talking point. No, it's in the book of Revelation. Let's see, plucked up. Okay, yeah, that's the book of Daniel. So Daniel 7:7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. It had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and had 10 horns. Speaking about what, man? What would later become known as, in the book of Revelations, the beast system. Even though this is talking about the in Daniel 7, when we go into particulars, it's talking about the Roman Empire. When it later on says it break in pieces, that's talking about when it was what's the word? I don't want to say decentralized, but that's the best word I can go into right now. When the Roman Empire was decentralized and it became separate, independent city-states or independent countries, Spain, Britain, Spain, Britain, Italy, Portugal, so on and so on and so forth, France, all that. It speaks about the 10 horns, verse 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, speaking about America, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. That's talking about America. The 3 horns which were plucked up was Spain, Great Britain, and France, being one after another. First was Great Britain, through the Revolution. Then France with the French. Let's get that. The French Indian War, I think it's called. Okay, yeah, the French and Indian War, which the was between France and the native tribes, but North America got in there just to, like it says in Psalms 55, man, you got to be aware of them. Psalms 55 and Strike 12, they got in there so they could later on do what was known as the, like it says, the French and Indian War was a theater of the 7 Years' Wars, which pitted the North American colonies of the British Empire against those of the French, each side being supported by various Native American tribes. And after that led to what? The Louisiana Purchase. So first they plucked up America plucked up Great Britain through the Revolution. Then they got France up out of there through the French and Indian War, which led to the Louisiana Purchase.
Take a nap. So this is a map
Where you see what is this bottom part right here. You see that bottom part right here? Because like I said, it started off as 13 colonies. Then through the Louisiana Purchase, they gained all kind of this, I want to say this like slither right here where, Florida, Louisiana, this little bottom part right here. Now notice this is how big Mexico originally was, man. Issachar's land. Although, like I said, this whole Western Hemisphere belonged to the Northern Kingdom at first, before Esau Edom came in here. But just look at the size of this land, man. This whole land mass. To where you see what, man? And you got to understand how this all plays out in history, man. This land mass right here will later on be the central part of what the gold rush will be, the central part of the American the go to the west type spirit that happened on. Because when Esau Edom first came in here, man, the Northern Kingdoms, man, gold was nothing to them, man. They was just giving the gold away, man, as gifts. They took so much gold from this place that ships would sink trying to get back to Europe, man. But like I said, just look at this. But let's get the scripture. We had to bring this out at some point. Micah 2:1, it says, Micah 2:1, yeah. Micah 2:1, woe to them that advise iniquity and work evil upon their beds, when the morning is light they practice it, because it is in the power of their hands. And Job 9:24, it says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage, man. They covet fields and they take it by violence, man. So let's go into how the downfall of Issachar's land, like you said, man.
Take a nap. So this is a map of the United States before the Mexican-American War in 1846. Go take a nap. That's the United States American War.
And so like she would later on mention that through the Mexican-American War, Mexico would end up ceding 55% of its land, man. Over half of its land, which would cut this whole part off, which will be known today as,
in 1846. Bro.
Which would be known today as, California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and all that. And would basically cut Mexico in half, man. And all this started over Texas originally. So let's do that. So it says, this is from history.com, it says Texas enters the Union. So this is after gaining independence from Spain in 1820s. Mexico welcomed foreign settlers to a sparsely populated Texas, and a large group of Americans, led by Stephen F. Austin, settled along the Brazos River. The Americans soon outnumbered the resident Mexicans. And pay attention, man. Mexico gains its independence from Spain. Mexico allows foreigners to settle in their land, which was Texas. Later on, about maybe 10 years later, the Americans soon outnumbered the resident Mexicans. So you have Americans living under the jurisdiction of Mexico, basically, man. The same thing that happens here, man. You come to America, you gotta live by the laws of America, and if you don't, there's consequences. It says in about the 1830s, what attempts by the Mexican government to regulate these semi-autonomous American communities led to rebellion. So you have these Americans, they come to this land that is owned by Mexico under the jurisdiction and rule of Mexico, and they want to do their own thing. They don't want to abide by the rules of the Mexican government. That's why Ciroc, like we made in Ciroc 12, man. You can't let them get too close, man. They're gonna find a way to overthrow you. It says in March 1836, in the midst of an armed conflict with the Mexican government, Texas declared its independence from Mexico. And what's important to understand about this the Texas is talking about what this land that had been taken over by Esau Edom, man. Because like it says right here, they soon outnumbered the resident Mexicans. This Declaration of Independence didn't come from those Mexican citizens. That doesn't make sense. No, it was Esau Edom that got up in there. And like I said, like when we continue on, it's going to become evidently clear that it was Esau Edom that had gained control over Texas, man, and did this declaration. And how wicked is that, man? You're gonna come. That's like somebody coming into your home. Which Esau? That's the MO of Esau Edom, man. They come into your home. They sit on your couch. They put their feet up. They eat the chips. They leave crumbs all over the place, and they kick you out. They tell you gotta go. It says the Texas volunteers initially suffered. Blah blah blah. Okay. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. The citizens of the Independent Republic of Texas elected Sam Houston president. Who is this? Is this a indigenous Mexican American? No, this is an Edomite, man. Sam Houston. What Mexican is named Sam Houston, man? Come on, let's be real. Blah blah blah. So it says on December 29th, 1845, Texas entered the United States as a slave state, broadening the irrepressible differences in the United States over the issue of slavery and what's setting off the Mexican-American War. And this is what, man? That whole yeah, it's like this is that whole, like she was going into this. This is the catalyst of that whole Mexican-American War, man. Of them getting 55% of Mexican land, man. Over what? These Edomites, they want to go down to Texas. They don't want to abide by the rules. The Mexican government, by their right, tries to enforce these rules. They somehow, they finesse it. You know what I'm saying? They get Texas, and then what? To add insult into injury, Texas. The American government allows Texas to become a state. I would go to war too, man, because you gotta understand how insulting that is, man. You're just gonna basically just take my land away from me just like that. And I want to look up one last thing. But yeah, man. It just shows you, man, the wickedness of Esau Edom, man. Let's read the caption.
All of this is Mexico.
Esau Edom is a vagabond. He stole this land and murdered millions of Israelites of all tribes and got the nerve to call someone a foreigner. Because that's very hypocritical, because none of this land belonged to you, man. None of this land belonged to you. And yet you come here, you call people foreigners, you call them aliens.
And that's the United States.
You call them illegal immigrants. But you stole this whole continent, man. You stole this whole hemisphere. Esau Edom has literally pulled off the greatest heist in history, man. He has appointed a whole half of the planet into his possession, and nobody speaks up against it. You got these quote unquote African Americans who still won't call Esau Edom like it is, man, the devil that the Bible speaks of. What more proof do you need, man? A whole half of the planet was stolen. That's just, do you know how mind-boggling that is? That you steal half a planet? Half of a planet. But yeah, man, I just wanted to go into that quick history of how, the finessing of what would become America's most profitable land. Because hey, man, those lands that they got from Issachar and the Northern Kingdom, like specifically in this lesson we're talking about those lands that they took from Mexico. Those lands and those land masses would later become the driving forces of the economy. Like I said, the gold rush age, man. The ranching age, man. The whole cowboy thing. The whole what was it the go to the west ideology, man. The whole and yeah, I even go on into it. I believe that most of those lands, um, a lot of those lands are heavily a part of America's agriculture, man. So those lands that they took from Mexico were very profitable to them to this day. And it all started over Texas, man. Which is again, man, Texas is a very land mass wise. I believe it's let's see. Top 5 biggest states. It says California is 1, a land that they took from Mexico. Texas is 2, a land that they took from Mexico. And Colorado, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, see, the biggest states, majority of them are those lands they took from Mexico. And it all started over Texas. Some Edomites, they wanted to come into your house, make their own rules, and then take your whole house over. So this is Ecclesiastes 12 and 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. For Yahweh Shem Shai and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For Yahweh Shem Shai should bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. With that being said, hallelujah.